Sure.
Now, I've had the chance to sit down and watch A Call to Spy, and this is an absolutely fantastic film, so I wanted to start off by saying congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really means the world to me. You know, I make movies to entertain, so when they connect, that's the goal.
Yeah. The movie is coming out on the biggest day for cinema in Australia, on Boxing Day. Does that make you feel proud, or does that make you feel really, really nervous that your movie is out there amongst the best of the best for the Australian releases this year?
Probably both. I'm really, really excited, I have to say, because the theatrical plans here stateside with the pandemic got curbed a little, and theaters shut, not open in New York, LA. So I'm really, really excited for this opportunity. It's a film that's made for the big screen. It's inspiring. We can do it. We can.
I was actually going to ask that much later on. How does it feel bringing out a movie during a pandemic? Because here in Victoria especially, we were in lockdown for 7 months. So cinemas were basically locked down for 6 of those months because we had drive-in theatres open for the last month. But how difficult is it to bring a movie out during a pandemic?
It's really difficult, and I will say, for all filmmakers, I imagine, somewhat disappointing in that, we had a big, we have premieres planned. The biggest spy museum in D.C. was, and New York were both going to host events. The CIA was going to host events. You have all these kind of live events where you get to connect with people, which is really the goal of a movie. And with the pandemic, you can't do that. So we had to pivot, and, IFC Films, who released the film in the U.S. and Canada, really did a fantastic job. But, it's not the same thing. Like with my last film, Equity, we toured the country for 3 months. You're in the theaters, you're interacting with the audiences, and, theaters here have been closed in New York and L.A. and for a long time, and I don't even know when they're going to reopen, frankly.
Yeah. So bringing it right back to the movie, tell us a little bit about where you first heard about these amazing women and what made you decide to make a movie about these amazing stories.
Well, as a filmmaker, I really like to tell commercial storylines with a female lens that maybe we haven't seen before, like original contact. And I love spy films. I love James Bond, for what it is. I love everything about it. But when we have spy films and women are involved as spies in World War II, more often than not, it tends to be kind of just a romance, or it's not really their story. And so I was really interested in exploring World War II spies that were women. And I'd studied, World War II in college, and I knew about Churchill's secret army. And when I uncovered, these 3 women in Churchill's secret army who were really pioneers in their fields, they were firsts in their kind of respective spy fields. And then when I uncovered that no movie had ever been made about these women, even though if you Google them, they've won every possible award, that was really the aha moment of like, somebody's got to do this. We have to do this.
Yeah. How did you go about doing the research? Because as you said, if you Google these women, not much comes up. So how did you actually go about doing the research to put the script together in the first place?
Yeah, so I was able to access the spy files in the archive of Virginia Hall, Vera Atkins, and Nora Nayat Khan, the 3 leads in the movie, which was fascinating. I mean, they're, Virginia Hall spy files are like 100 pages long. And my character, Virginia Hall, was also the first woman to work for the CIA after the war. So I was able to connect with the CIA, and they were able to connect me with family relatives, and then I was able to speak with friends, etc. And it was really just all that research that, helped me uncover the story of what happened to these women. But they didn't give interviews, right? Like, they were spies.
Yeah.
And so the challenge was uncovering the human versus the facts, so to speak. And that's where the living relatives and friends were very helpful, because they could give me tidbits of the personality.
Yeah. What was the most amazing things, or the things that really surprised you when you read through those spy files? What was there different things that really stood out to you that you're like, this has to be in the film?
There were two things that really stood out. The first is like how poorly some of these spies were actually reviewed in training. Like Noor, you know, they literally wrote in her file, like, if this girl's a spy, I'm Winston Churchill, you know, ha ha ha. And yet, you know, she proved to be a courageous spy who, when she was captured and tortured, gave no information whatsoever about anyone. So just how wrong they were on these women and their courage. And then, you know, the other surprising thing to me was that they actually told these women, before they sent them, like, flung them into the field as an experiment, you have a 50-50 chance of survival. And do you want to do this? And these women said, yes, definitely. And I don't know. I hope that's the question of the movie. Like, what would audiences do? Would you do it? Would I do it? These women just were so courageous.
Yeah. Do you know if after the war, were they treated differently to other spies because they were women, or were spies held in a regard that were all kind of grouped in together? There was almost like an equal way that they were treated. Do you know if that's something that happened after the war?
That's a really great question, and for my character, Virginia Hall, you know, she went on to work for the CIA, but they had to sign the Official Secrets Act when they became a spy. And so they couldn't talk about it, and so no one knew they were a spy. So I imagine it was quite difficult, because you know, have done all these heroic things, and then you're going back to quote unquote normal life where you're not leading an army anymore.
Yep.
So I don't think they were treated the same after the war.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Virginia. What made you decide that you also wanted to play Virginia after you had written the screenplay?
I really deeply connected to Virginia's spirit. You know, this is a woman who was very much ahead of her time and didn't believe in the word no, which is very similar to me. I hate the word no. But, you know, in her, doesn't everyone, right?
Yeah.
But in her life, you know, as a woman, as a disabled woman, because, you know, she shot her leg off in a tragic hunting accident when she was 27, she constantly got rejected. She wanted to be a diplomat. People said no. She wanted to make change. People said no. And so she just found a way to do it. She went and worked as a spy for the British. And whenever anyone said, you can't make change, she just went ahead and did it. And I just thought that was such an inspiring thing to be able to play. Her courage and her drive.
Yeah.
And her toughness, really.
And did it make it easier for you from an acting point of view, because you had written the screenplay, that you knew Virginia's character so well? It wasn't like an actress who's picked up the script and just read it. You've done a massive amount of research. Did that make it a lot easier for you to then play Virginia on screen?
Yes and no. Definitely in terms of like the research and knowing that intimately, 100%. I think the challenge was, you know, wanting to honor her legacy and do it right when, as I mentioned before, like she didn't give any interviews or anything like that. I think what was really, really helpful for the acting hat and side of things is, you know, her aunt said, you know, she called herself cantankerous and capricious. She wore a snake bracelet to school. She was the pirate chief in school plays. She was always in pain with her leg, but tried to hide her limp. Like, those little details in the research process were priceless as the actress trying to just, you know, hopefully do justice to the role.
Yeah. Now, a lot of actors are huge fans of method acting, but I understand that you actually injured yourself while in this role, if IMDb hasn't led me wrong. Tell us a little bit about that injury and how you're feeling now.
Yeah, I don't think I should be a method actor anymore. So I, constantly, even when I wasn't on camera, like was acting with my scene partner, would have this contraption on my leg in one form or another, and walk with a limp and sit with a limp because, that was Virginia Hall, and that really hooked me into her character. And my tendon on my own left leg got so weak that I completely ruptured it after shooting because I hadn't been using it for a long time, and I had to have surgery. And then I got on a plane to promote the film, and I got a pulmonary clot, and I almost died. So I had a really interesting journey post-shooting. But I will say, if it's even possible to have more respect for Virginia Hall, I went through all that after shooting, and, people look at you differently when you're in a wheelchair. Like, I couldn't walk for almost a year, and they really do, no matter how confident or strong you are. She was the spy the Nazis dubbed the most dangerous of all, and she did it with a disability, and she just overcame that, and I find that a really inspiring message.
Yeah. For our listeners out there who haven't had a chance to see the film yet, why was Virginia described as the most dangerous spy of all by the Nazis?
She was the supreme organizer. She organized the resistance. She ran the hub in Lyon, out of which, agents would come in and out of France. And she was, that's what was so dangerous. She was able to get information. She was able to control the flow of the money. But really, it was her ability to lead and organize so that it became, a big operation. Klaus Barbie really did come in to hunt her specifically and failed.
Yep. Wow. It's such an amazing story. I think it is one of those really important stories that everybody out there goes along to see and learn about. How difficult was it to cast the other two women around you as well? Because they do such fantastic jobs in this film. How difficult was it for you to go out and cast these other women as well?
Well, Radhika Apte, who plays Noor, was actually my first choice for the role, which never happens in kind of indie film when you're not offering the big bucks. But yep. I'd seen her in a film called Parched because I was interviewing the director and loved her and loved what she could bring to the role, and she said yes. And then Sada Katic and I share an entertainment lawyer in the kind of small worldness of it, and he had been pitching her to me, and I watched her work and was thrilled that she wanted to do the film. I think we just got fantastic actresses, and that's so important for this type of story.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that Lydia got to direct this film as well. I was such a huge fan of her last film, and of course she produced one of my favourite films of all time, The Darjeeling Limited. Tell us a little bit about how Lydia came on board with this film and what she was like to work with. Yeah,
so I interviewed largely female directors with a few good men thrown in there, but I did feel like this specific story had to be told with a female eye. And Lydia, as you mentioned, has a wealth of amazing films as a producer and was starting to get into directing. And this is her kind of solo directing debut. And what attracted me to Lydia as a director is her international ability to tell stories. She's worked with Mir Nair. All of her stories have this kind of diverse international lens. And this is a story about three diverse women from different countries who kind of united for this common cause. And so she was just kind of the perfect fit. And also our visions aligned, because obviously, I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I'm involved in Final Cut. You have to find teammates who both of you elevate each other and challenge each other. And that was what it was like with me and Lydia.
We also have a massive amount of filmmakers that listen to this show. For them, how difficult is it to make a World War II movie on an indie budget? Because that to me is part of the reason why I love this movie so much. It looks so good, but how difficult was it to actually film a World War II movie on an indie budget?
Well, thank you for that question. It is a nightmare, but it turned out good. I'm just joking. But that's the challenge. We couldn't shoot in France or London because we didn't have the budget to shoot in France or London. So I had to be creative. I'm from Philadelphia. I've made my films here. There's a tax credit. So I was able to find locations in Philadelphia that work for London because the British settled in Philadelphia, and there's a lot of historic landmarks that remain here. And then we went to Budapest to shoot the big exteriors, the scope, the scale. And we worked with an amazing company called Pioneer Pictures over in Budapest. And then we just kind of cut and pasted these two worlds together, and it really did work, which, that was the challenge. Like, for example, the Pyrenees Mountains, we shot those in upstate New York with a skeleton crew day one when there was a snowstorm, and we were like, oh my gosh, if we don't get this snow, it's March, we may never have snow again. So it was indie filmmaking.
Yeah, well, it looks absolutely amazing. And I guess to finish off, Sarah, I just wanted to ask, what would you like to say to Aussie film lovers out there before they head out to check out the film on Boxing Day?
Well, go check the film out on Boxing Day, please. No, but I always hope that you just enjoy the film and learn something new, a new story, and are entertained. But then, after the movie, when you're having dinner or cocktail or whatever, the best movies, in my view, are ones that kind of make you think and challenge you. And I hope that there are any number of conversations that can be had on the very themes of the movie and these kind of hidden figures of the spy world.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure. And again, congratulations on such an amazing film.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun to join you today.
Not a problem. Stay safe, and hopefully we get to see another movie from you very, very soon.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get to travel to Australia next time around.
Definitely. We would love that. Okay, stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Bye.